Hello and welcome to this episode of The Helpful Host. In this episode, we'll be looking at the difference between a reservation inquiry and a reservation request. One of the biggest confusions among hosts is the difference between a reservation inquiry and a reservation request. It is important to know the difference between an inquiry and a request and what a host must do for each situation in order to maintain their response rating. Let's first take a look at reservation inquiries. Airbnb suggests that guests send out several reservation inquiries when looking for a place to book. When a guest sends an inquiry, they usually send them out to several listings in the same area. It is kind of like window shopping for an Airbnb listing. A host may also receive several inquiries from different guests for the same dates, and if they pre-approve these inquiries, the first person who accepts the pre-approval will become a confirmed reservation. The most important thing to understand when it comes to inquiries is that all you have to do is respond once to the inquiry within the 24 hours to maintain your response rating. It is of course best practice to screen the guest who is inquiring and either pre-approve or decline the inquiry, but this is not required to maintain your response rating. Once again, the most important thing is to at least respond once to the inquiry within the 24-hour time frame. Here's how a guest makes an inquiry. When the guest finds a property they're interested in, they can choose to contact the host. When they do this, they enter the dates, the number of guests, and their question for the host. You will notice here that there is no requirement to enter any payment details with an inquiry, but we will see later how this is different with a reservation request. Now let's see what the host receives. As you can see, I now have the inquiry in my Airbnb inbox. To see the inquiry, all I need to do is click on the message. Here you will see that we have the guest message, and at the top there's a 24-hour countdown for me to respond to the guest. By responding, I can either write a message back to the guest, pre-approve or decline the inquiry, or send a special offer. Any one of these actions will stop the 24-hour clock. I'm going to respond to the guest by answering their question in the text box and choosing Send Message. As you can see, the 24-hour clock has not stopped, but by simply refreshing my browser, you'll see that the 24-hour countdown disappears, and I have met my obligations as a host when it comes to responding to an inquiry. Now let's take a look at reservation requests. We are first going to take a look at how a guest makes a request and what the host receives. For a guest to make a reservation request, they need to choose their dates and the number of guests, and then choose Request to Book. The guest then needs to review the trip details and then choose Agree and Continue. On the following screen, the guest needs to confirm the number of guests and choose whether the trip is for personal or business travel. On this last screen, the guest needs to enter their payment information. This is a big difference between a reservation inquiry and a reservation request. If you remember from earlier, with an inquiry, no payment information is required, but this is not the case for a reservation request. The guest enters their payment information and chooses Request to Book, and they are then charged or pre-authorized for the reservation. If the host accepts, the reservation is automatically confirmed. Now let's take a look at what the host receives. As we saw earlier with an inquiry, there will be a message in your Airbnb inbox and you will see that the status is pending. Let's click on the message to see the request. Here you can now see that this is a request and the only options are to accept or decline the request. If you respond to the guest with a message, the clock will continue to run down until you choose one of the two options. I'm going to choose to decline this request. I will then need to confirm my selection to decline and then choose a reason for declining the request. I am then asked to provide more details about declining and then choose Next. Finally, you will need to include a message to the guest why you cannot accommodate the reservation and then choose Decline Request. You will then be taken to your inbox where it will show that the request was declined. It is essential that you understand reservation requests. A reservation request means that a guest is ready to book your place and they just need your approval. Once you approve their request, your place will become a confirmed reservation. It is also important to know that you have 24 hours to take action on the request by either accepting or declining the reservation request. If you do not either accept or decline within the 24-hour time frame, your response rating will be affected and in many cases your calendar can be blocked for the dates the guest requested. So essentially, if you have a guest who is taking their time getting back to any of your questions and the 24-hour clock is running down, and you are not quite comfortable yet with a guest, it is best to decline the request. Declining a request does not necessarily affect your rankings in the search results unless you are declining most of the requests that come in. You can explain to the guest that you are declining the request because you would like more information and that they can make another request, or you can send them a special offer which becomes available when you decline the request. It is important to accept or decline the request as soon as you can, as the guest has been charged and it can take up to 10 days for the guest to have access to these funds again in their account. Not only that, they have also spent 24 hours trying to book a listing and now they have to find another accommodation if the request is declined or expires. It is not unusual for this to happen to a guest 3 or 4 times, and many may leave Airbnb altogether, which affects all hosts. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Please also comment below if you have any questions or let me know any other topics you would like covered in future videos. Please also subscribe to this channel to be notified when other helpful host videos are released. All the best and happy hosting!